welcome back to my channel. It's a bit of a different video this week. I'm not in a flower field. I'm actually having a nice cup of coffee in the warm house. I know it's been maybe a couple of weeks since I've actually posted a video, but I have an excuse. I was sick, I had toothache, I completely lost my voice. And the last week has actually been really difficult as well because my mum took unwell, so she'll probably watch this, so get well soon, mum. And the wreath workshops are on, so there's a lot happening. So I wanted to have a wee chat with you today because I want to look back on the last year. It's been such a fantastic year, but it's actually been my first year of full-time flower farming. I have been growing flowers for years and years and years, but always with a part-time job at the same time. So I kind of was asking myself, is this a hobby or is this something I want to do full-time? And as you know, I love growing flowers, so I just decided, no, I'm going to do this full-time. So I want to have a chat with you about 5 lessons that I have learned that will maybe help you if you're deciding if it's something you want to do as well. So number 1, perseverance. This has been a key word for me this year because in flower farming, there's so much that's out of your control that in terms of weather and things that you really need to have the right mindset to be able to push through. At the start of 2022, we lost one of our polytunnel covers. All the ranunculus were in there was tulips in there. It was really, really devastating because they were all growing so well. But you could very easily give up, think, is this worth it? Should I be doing this? If you don't have that mindset of perseverance, you will find it really, really difficult because there are always things that go wrong. I heard one time in one of the training things that I was on, Erin from Floral, she's fantastic. She said that in a day, she always, when it comes towards the end of the day, she always puts in that extra hour because it's completely worthwhile the next day. That is something I've really held on to for this year. So when you're kind of flagging at the end of the day and you're thinking, oh, I'll just put this off to tomorrow. If you just do that extra hour, the next day, everything just seems so much better, so much lighter. And it's just a really, really great mindset to have. But within that, you also have to be aware that you need to rest. Flower farming is intense. The hours are really, really long. It's not like a 9 to 5. It's sunrise to sunset. It's very seasonal. And seasonal is key. So whenever it comes to winter time, and not in December because it's wreath time, but like January, February, you need to take that time to recoup and to rest. So perseverance and knowing your limits, setting boundaries is my number 1. Number 2, record, record, record. Hands up, I am the worst at this. I always say to myself, I'll just take photographs, or I will remember this. How could I forget that this happened? And then I go to look back on it and I can't remember. And I think, was that this year? Was that last year? So record everything. If you want to do this as a hobby, then that's fine. Make your bouquets, see what flowers grow, that's all fine. But if you're wanting to do this as a business, you need to know what flowers are flowering when. You need to know how many stems you get from each plant. You really need to be able to look back on the records so that you can communicate with potential clients who are coming, maybe asking for buckets of flowers for a wedding. It's no good if you're like, well, this might be there, this might be there. So hands up, don't rely just on photographs. I am the worst at this because photographs don't tell a full story. Write notes, write really good notes each year, so when you look back on it, you can compare as well and you have really, really good records. So that is my number 2. Number 3, succession planting. Now, I'm actually really pleased because this year I really feel like I've done a good job in succession planting because in previous years, and it is because I was so busy, you think March time, February, March, let's get everything planted and you're relieved that's all done. And it comes to summertime, they're all in flower, beautiful. A couple of months later, everything has come and gone and you're devastated because you no longer have flowers for maybe the end of August, September, October time. So this year I was so determined that I would have flowers for as long as possible. So at the start of every single month from February on, I planted more. Even into July, I was still planting. I planted sunflowers, I planted cosmos in July, and I have only taken some of those cosmos out in the last couple of weeks due to not having frost. But I had flowers basically for as long as I needed this year. So succession planting is a really, really, really key thing. And it's not a difficult thing to do. You just need to stay on top of things and not let it lag behind. That's number 3. Number 4 is a biggie. So filler flowers and hedging. So as I say, I have been growing flowers for quite a long time. And this year, I think maybe about 7 years, I've been growing flowers. And I just wish, if I was to go back 7 years, that I would have planted a million, exaggeration, more hedging plants, more trees, more shrubs, things like that will fill out the bouquets. So that, because I do so many wreath workshops now, I use like all my eucalyptus, it just completely goes. I use so much laurel. We are really reaping the benefits of the things that we have planted that have grown, but with a lot of space and could be planting so much more. So if you can, I know it's a massive investment. Hedging is expensive, trees are expensive. Even if you start and you buy like little tiny things, you can just leave them for years and you will be so glad that you did in years to come. For the wreath workshops this year, I think I have been able to, we have 12 of them. And we have like hundreds of people coming through and make hundreds of wreaths. And I think this year is the first year that I've really felt that we have been able to harvest as much as we can and that there's going to be enough for the seasons to come. So this year I'm going to plant a load more shrubs and filler flowers as well, because like the ammi and the greens, the cress, everything like that, because you have your sunflowers, you have your dahlias, you have your cosmos, all the lovely, beautiful, colourful blooms. And then when you go to put them together, you're like trying to find things on the hedges. But if you grow filler flowers, it's completely worth it. And especially because some bouquets are just lovely, just filled with filler flowers as well. So always set aside a lot more space than you think that you will need for filler flowers and hedging. So that is number 4. Number 5 is social media. I will also admit that social media is not my strong point. I feel really overwhelmed a lot of the time when I'm getting a lot of messages through and I have emails to reply to and social media messages come through and sometimes they get missed and you're always feeling that you need to keep going and like there's all these algorithms and now there's Reels, there's so many different platforms, there's Instagram and Twitter, Facebook. And they all give you these analytics and it's just a complete minefield. If you are like me and you're much happier being outside, growing the flowers, putting the flowers together, doing all those nice things. And the thing is that social media nowadays is actually really quite essential if you're wanting to sell things. Like if I was to put up a post with a bouquet or a wreath or something, I will get orders almost instantly. Like it is really, really fantastic. It builds connections with people. I've met so many fabulous people through social media. I enjoy it for myself, like looking at everybody else's flower farms and seeing different things that are growing in other countries and different climates and even being able to see what other people are able to grow in this climate. You can learn so much from people, but it's a big time sucker as well. So you can get really sucked in and sometimes, you know, you just need to be outside and not be thinking about what everybody else is doing. So if you are on social media and you're comparing yourself to even other flower farms, that can be like that can be so easy to do because, oh, this person was able to grow these. Why was I not able to grow this? Oh, look, their tulips are out already. My tulips are not out already. You know, it can be a real sucker for your energy and everything. So depending on your personality and everything, social media can actually be fantastic or it can be a really negative thing. So there's like a real balancing act there as well. I personally find it quite difficult to do just in terms of time. I actually, like my husband is a photographer and he's a fabulous photographer and I don't know, I would be lost without that because he takes all my photographs because I am useless at taking photographs. He helps me like do posts and reminds me to do posts and things like that. So if there's someone that you know that actually really enjoys things like that, try and collaborate with people, get other people involved. There's people that really love like taking things like that on, if you have friends and stuff. So yeah, see what works for you with social media. I know it is a necessary evil. I don't even like saying evil because like, I don't know, it's not evil, but it depends on how you see it. So social media can be really fabulous, but be really cautious because you don't want to be comparing yourself to anybody else. You don't want to be comparing yourself to farms. Do not ever compare yourself to our farm because obviously you also show the good bits in social media as well. So you're seeing the best things. So that's my number 5. So those are 5 things from my first year. There are so many like so many more things I could say. It's been such a good year. I have absolutely loved it. I love being able to focus on something so clearly and not be distracted, and just really put my whole energy into it. So I highly recommend doing something like this, flower farming, if you have the mindset of doing it, and that you're willing to do something that's really quite challenging, because it is challenging. It's a dream job. As everybody that comes to our farm says, oh, you have the dreamiest job, and I completely agree with them. It's so fabulous. But there are challenges, and you need to be aware of that at the start. But if you're aware of that and you're willing to give it a go, it's just fabulous. So good luck. I really hope to hear from you if you are struggling with any of these things as well, or if you're thinking about maybe taking your hobby to the next level, going down the route of a business. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. So leave a comment, let me know where you're at, or maybe you just like taking some of these points on for a different job. That would be fabulous too. And don't forget to like as well, and subscribe if you aren't already subscribed to the channel, because we do put out a few videos, and then if you hit that bell, you will get notified when we do. So I will see you next week, back to doing weekly videos.